Original post, June 24, 2023. My girlfriend is a hardcore Harry Potter fan. Or at least she used to be. I remember during the honeymoon phase of our relationship, she mentioned one of her fantasies was a Harry Potter roleplay situation where she was a professor at Hogwarts that ends up being seduced by one of her students. I didn't know what to do with that information at the time, but I thought it was funny and I never forgot about it. Less than 2 years later, I decided to bring out my inner wizard and figure out how to fulfill the fantasy my girlfriend always wanted. After completing my Harry Potter research, aka rewatching the movies, I called my girlfriend a few days ago and encouraged her to play along and avoid asking questions when she came over that evening. That was it. No spoilers. When my girlfriend showed up at my flat, I was standing in the lounge wearing a Harry Potter costume and pointing a wand at her. She laughed. I referred to my girlfriend as Professor, and asked her if she remembered that spell she taught me during dark arts class that paralyzed people. My girlfriend was still laughing, but she eventually nodded in response to my question. I waved my wand and shouted Petrificus Totalis. My girlfriend struggled to stop laughing, but she managed to get into character and freeze instantly, as per my spell. I literally picked up my motionless girlfriend and put her down on the couch. I proceeded to undress my girlfriend while telling her how much I've always wanted to sleep with a mudblood and pump her full of pure blood seed. Not going to lie, I cringed on the inside when I delivered that line because it sounded silly, but then again, I could tell my girlfriend was turned on when I removed her underwear. It was working. When I was done going down on my girlfriend, I waved my wand between her legs and said unimpregnate. I made her aware that I was going to penetrate her without protection and my made-up spell would prevent her from becoming a mudblood MILF. I unzipped my pants and banged my girlfriend in my wizard uniform. She forgot she was under my paralysis spell and broke character a few times when she moaned and moved her body, but at that point, we were both past the point of controlling ourselves and just did whatever felt good. The two of us came really hard. Based on the outcome, I knew my girlfriend enjoyed what I did. However, post-nut clarity left her with mixed feelings afterwards. My girlfriend said the fantasy was hot when it happened and she appreciated my effort, but replaying it in her head made her feel like we were acting too much like children to get ourselves off and that was kind of giving her the ick. She never said it in so many words, but I sensed that she was low-key trying to tell me that she outgrew her Harry Potter fantasy, and I was probably too late. Instead of letting it go and moving on, I revisited the topic last night, almost a week since the fantasy. I decided to ask my girlfriend what I could do differently in case I wanted to surprise her with a sequel. My girlfriend sighed and said I could just copy and paste what her ex-boyfriend did. She paused mid-sentence and looked at me like she suddenly realized she said something bad. Against my better judgment, I encouraged my girlfriend to finish her sentence. She said she didn't really care about Harry Potter prior to meeting her ex, who was the OG Potter fan apparently. She said his nerdy obsession with Harry Potter was endearing. I asked how endearing. My girlfriend dodged my question and said I should focus on the fact that she enjoyed the version of her fantasy I created. I asked what her ex's version was. My girlfriend said, if you really want to know, before telling me that her ex enjoyed playing the role of a Quidditch captain, who ends up missing the game and losing the tournament because he was balls deep inside his wizard girlfriend. She said it was unexpectedly hot because her ex pretended to be reluctant and submissive whereas she had to be distracting and dominant, which was new for her. She said she didn't know she could squirt until she dominated her ex. I said I didn't know she could squirt until now. My girlfriend awkwardly laughed it off and said I should be grateful I've never made her squirt because she always hated the cleanup. I asked my girlfriend why she would plant the seed of a Harry Potter roleplay fantasy at the beginning of our relationship if her ex already did a better job. She rolled her eyes at me saying better job and said she was still somewhat high on her ex during our first few dates and wanted to recapture the same magic from her previous relationship. But she eventually fell in love with me and forgot about her ex and his Harry Potter BS, until recently when she saw me in my Harry Potter costume, which automatically made her think of her ex. I should have stopped asking questions, but for some reason, I couldn't. I asked my girlfriend if she was turned on during the fantasy roleplay because she saw me in the Harry Potter costume or her ex. She said nothing. I asked if the ick she was feeling afterwards was not really the ick, but the guilt of knowing she was thinking of someone else fulfilling her fantasy instead of me. My girlfriend said she was going to go and she did. I didn't stop her. Now she's not responding to my messages or my calls. TLDR, I dressed up as Harry Potter to fulfill a sexual fantasy my girlfriend had at the beginning of our relationship, but I accidentally made her remember how much better that fantasy was when her ex was Harry Potter and not me. Now my relationship is no longer in a good place. Update 1, June 28, 2023. My girlfriend stopped ghosting me and agreed to discuss what happened between us regarding the roleplay. We were both understanding, apologetic, and forgiving. My girlfriend said she never expected me to remember the Harry Potter fantasy, let alone act it out years later without talking about it first and making sure that the two of us were on the same page. She said she was unprepared for the feelings the fantasy triggered. On one hand, she said I made her feel somewhat nostalgic because I reminded her of an experience from her past she really enjoyed. On the other hand, she said she wanted to forget about that experience because A, she was invested in her relationship with me, and B, she eventually got over her ex, and part of her moving on process was filing everything related to Harry Potter under ex-boyfriend baggage. My girlfriend apologized for referencing her ex when I was trying to brainstorm different ways to spice things up in the bedroom through roleplay. She said she was low-key upset at herself for thinking about her ex mid-sex and took her frustration out on me when she realized I was keen to roleplay again, despite her telling me that she got the ick from the whole Harry Potter roleplay experience. I apologized for surprising her with an expired roleplay fantasy that made her feel uncomfortable afterwards, and for bombarding her with questions about her ex-boyfriend. I promised to stop asking questions about her ex if she promised never to ghost me again. My girlfriend thanked me for stepping out of my comfort zone with my Harry Potter roleplay and said she was willing to test out other roleplay fantasies outside of the Harry Potter universe if I was still interested. I said I might have a roleplay fantasy we could test out at that moment. My girlfriend put her hand between my legs and said she was listening. I said I was Jack, and she was Rose in Titanic, but instead of Jack freezing to death, a lifeboat rescued both of them just in time. However, Jack might still die of hypothermia, or worse, survive and then end up with a damaged dick due to frostbite, so now it's up to Rose to jerk him off in front of the other survivors to prevent the love of her life from getting gangrene in his genitals. My girlfriend had her hand in my pants when I was done pitching the fantasy. She was entertained until I snapped my fingers and said, "Oh wait, my ex and I already did that one." It was a joke that instantly killed the mood, but I thought it was funny. My girlfriend thought it was too soon and stopped touching me. I think my girlfriend thought it was at least kind of funny because she didn't look mad. That being said, she showed zero interest in sleeping with me after that. All of the above happened a couple of days ago, but work made it difficult for me to find proper time to post an update sooner. I think my girlfriend and I are going to be okay. Thank you for riding this relationship roller coaster with me. Hopefully none of you will ever read anything new from me going forward. TLDR, peace has been restored in my relationship. However, I now have two roleplay fantasies that my girlfriend does not approve of, Harry Potter and Titanic. Update 2, June 15, 2024, 1 year later. My girlfriend and I were talking about weird sexual experiences the other night, and I made the mistake of mentioning that not only did I literally dress up as Harry Potter before having sex with my ex, but I also pretended to actually be Harry Potter during sex. I explained to my girlfriend that my attempt at role-playing backfired on me when my ex-girlfriend revealed that her ex-boyfriend also played the role of horny Harry Potter when the two of them were intimate, and based on the fact that he apparently made her squirt, which I never did. It became clear to me that the ex-boyfriend did a better job with his magic wand than I ever did with mine. My girlfriend unexpectedly hugged me at the end of the story and said, "There, my love, don't be sad." I was not sad. Mid-hug, my girlfriend suggested that I redo my Harry Potter roleplay with her so that I could have a positive sexual experience to associate with Harry Potter. I said no need, I've moved on. My girlfriend refused to accept that and said she wanted to see me as horny Harry. I said that was never going to happen because the last girlfriend who saw me as horny Harry, unfortunately, became my ex-girlfriend shortly afterwards. My girlfriend put her hand between my legs and convinced me to reconsider role-playing as Harry Potter. Cut to later that week. My girlfriend and I agreed to do the role-play thing at her apartment because she lived alone and I did not. So, there I was, standing in the hallway in my Harry Potter costume, practicing made-up spells while waiting for my girlfriend to open the front door. The anticipation of sex was beginning to trigger an erection. By the time the door finally opened, the shape of my boner was somewhat visible. I didn't think that would be a problem until I locked eyes with the person who opened the door. It was not my girlfriend. It was her mother. I covered my crotch with my wizard robe as soon as I realized who was looking at me. The mom struggled to stop laughing when she caught me covering up. My girlfriend appeared moments later and begged her mom to please stop laughing and go away. Her mom, who now had her hand over her mouth to hide how hilarious this was for her, apologized for laughing and said I must be the new boyfriend. I said yes. My girlfriend sarcastically thanked her mom for showing up unannounced just before I arrived, which prompted her mom to congratulate her for finding her own boyfriend for once instead of ending up with her sister's exes. Her mom looked at me and said no offense, but her other daughter was too old to still be into Harry Potter and therefore it was safe to assume that I was not one of her exes. My girlfriend apologized to me on her mom's behalf and said her mom was just mad because her boob job got botched. Her mom pointed at me while warning my girlfriend that I was an unplanned pregnancy waiting to happen based on what she saw when she opened the door. I said that was not what it looked like. The mom said it looked like Harry Potter and the failure to pay child support. My girlfriend didn't allow her mom to stay any longer when she said that. Needless to say, my girlfriend was no longer in the mood to screw Harry Potter. We decided that Horny Harry is a curse for couples and should be excluded from any roleplay fantasy we might practice in the future. TLDR, my new girlfriend convinced me to roleplay as Harry Potter during sex after she found out that I did the same thing for my ex-girlfriend. We never made it to the roleplay or the sex because my girlfriend had an unexpected guest, aka her mom, when I showed up in character and in costume. Her mom ended up answering the door and accidentally saw Harry Potter with a heart-on, which added to the tension that was already present between mother and daughter. Story 2, my ex-fiancé tried to get my wife to cheat on me. Original post, March 25, 2024. I think my ex-fiancé Jess, 31 female, might have tried to get my wife Olivia, 30 female, drunk and cheat on me. My wife thinks I am overreacting and overthinking the whole situation. Can someone tell me if I would be an asshole to ask Olivia to stop being friends with Jess immediately? For context, Jess and I started dating during the sophomore year of our college. We met through mutual friends and connected instantly. She was charming, outgoing, and made friends instantly everywhere she went. I am more shy and nerdy, but I enjoyed going out to parties with her. We got engaged on our graduation day as both our families were attending. I got a job in a big tech company right after college and Jess moved in with me while looking for jobs. That is when the relationship started going downhill. Jess was an art major and had trouble finding a stable job. She did a bunch of freelance work and mostly worked from home. I was overwhelmed with work. She always wanted to go out to bars and clubs, and I wanted to rest in the evening after 10 to 12 hours of work. I was okay with her going out with friends alone, and I would sometimes tag along on the weekend. It bothered me that she was still in her party girl phase. She complained that I was becoming boring and should enjoy my early 20s before we settled down. I was also not happy with the friends she hung out with, as there was a lot of drinking and drug use. Even when I went out with her friends, she would be extremely flirty with guys in her friends group. Her excuse was always that she gets flirty when she is drunk or she was just joking. I had enough and decided to call off the engagement after 2 years as we were just different people at that point. The breakup was messy, and she kept trying to get back with me for almost a year. There were some incidences where Jess may not have acted in her best judgment, and I blocked her from all my social media. I did not want to deal with the drama and wanted to move on. I also got a transfer to another town around that time and never heard from Jess again. This is when I started dating my wife, Olivia. My wife was the exact opposite of Jess. She was very soft-spoken, and a homebody like me. She knew I was engaged before. We dated for 3 years and happily married for 2 years now. However, one of the sticking points we always had was my Thursday nights. 3 of my closest college friends are now scattered all across the country and we generally play a video game together on Thursday evenings since our college days. Olivia complained that she gets bored during that time. About 6 months ago, Olivia told me she got a Facebook invite for a group where they had painting and wine nights on Thursdays. It was mostly 8 to 10 women who got together at someone's house and spent the evening painting, drinking wine, and gossiping. According to Olivia, it was just a few housewives and divorcees, and they welcomed her. One of the women's names was Jess, but I did not think much of it. 2 weeks ago, Olivia told me it was Jess's birthday and they wanted to have a ladies' night at a club. Olivia hates loud music, but Jess convinced her to come for dinner and some drinks. On that night, I got a call from Olivia at 10 p.m. asking me if I could come and pick her up. I could tell something was wrong and immediately left to pick her up. I went to the bar and went in to pick up Olivia. I was shocked when I realized that her friend Jess was my ex-fiancé. She also looked surprised to see me there. I was polite and said hello to everyone, but Olivia wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. After we went in the car, I told Olivia that Jess was my ex-fiancé whom I had not seen for almost 7 years. Olivia was shocked to hear it and she did not know about it. It was crazy since I did not even know she lived in the same city as us. Olivia told me Jess was the one who had started the painting group. She had divorced her husband 2 years ago and moved to our city for a fresh start. The reason why she called me was because she was getting uncomfortable with the situation at the bar. Since Jess and one of the other women were single, they kept on encouraging guys hitting on them and inviting them over to their table. Jess was trying to get everyone drunk and was asking Olivia to open up and have fun. She was constantly hyping up Olivia to two of the guys who bought them a round of drinks. At this point, Olivia excused herself to go to the restroom and called me to pick her up. I am not happy with the situation, but I am also not mad at Olivia. I am just uncomfortable with Olivia hanging out with Jess. I told Olivia about the same. Olivia told me that she was never going to put herself in the same situation again with Jess or anyone else. Also, this friends group is the only real social life she has since we both are in a completely new city. She does not want to stop going to her painting nights with her friends. I brought up the thought that Jess could be acting in malice, but Olivia told me she did not think Jess would know I was her husband as Olivia never showed my picture to anyone in the group. She also said that it's been 7 years since we broke up. Jess is a kind person, and I should not judge her based on one night when she was drunk. She still wants to stay friends with Jess. On one hand, I do not want to separate Olivia from her friends. But, my gut feeling is telling me something is off in this situation. Besides, it feels weird to have my ex be friends with my wife. Am I the asshole to want Olivia to stop being friends with Jess because of my gut feeling? Or, should I just let it go as it's Olivia's call to make? Update 1, June 10, 2024. I posted about how my ex-fiancé tried to get my wife to cheat on me 3 months ago. Things were good since then, but last week has been crazy and I wish my wife were not as naive to let Jess back in our lives. I really need help on what I can do at this point. For reference, I broke up with my ex-fiancé Jess 7 years ago and have been together with my wife for 5 years, married for 2. After the night of Jess's birthday, where she tried to get my wife drunk and flirt with strangers, I had a long conversation with my wife. I laid down why I was uncomfortable with her hanging out with Jess. My wife agreed with most of what I said, but she feels that enough time has passed now where we can let things go. She also talked to Jess, and she told her that she had no idea about me and it's just one happy coincidence. Jess also insisted to my wife that she moved on with her life after our breakup, found love, and unfortunately the marriage did not last. She told Olivia that maybe we all could go out for dinner together and clear out the issues. Jess also insisted that she was just having fun at the bar, and apologized to my wife if her drunk behavior made her uncomfortable. My wife asked me if I would be okay with their friendship as she has not found a social group in the new town for a long time and Jess seems like a changed person. She also told me that she would only meet these women during her art night, and not go out on girls' nights or trips. I felt that as long as Olivia was comfortable, I should not have any reason to be worried. We also had dinner with Jess once and Jess was very friendly. She told me about what happened in her marriage, and how she is on her healing journey right now. She also apologized to me for her behavior during our last few months together. Jess also now owns a business and works as a freelance artist and graphic designer. I also was gracious as we were just 23 and I harbor no ill feelings. My wife also started hosting art night at our place once a month or so and I had to move to my office for my game nights. Last week, after the art night, Jess and one other lady hung back, and we were all drinking wine and chatting. The other lady was asking questions about Jess and I just told her that it was old history, and I went no contact with Jess for 4 years. That was the reason why she had no idea about Olivia. Olivia looked at me, and asked Jess, "You mean 7 years ago, right?" Jess said no, and that was when we broke up. However, we met every time I came back to my hometown. I thought she was drunk, so I corrected her again that it was 7 years ago, and she was misremembering things. Jess said maybe, and we moved on. The next day, Jess sent a bunch of photos to my wife of me and Jess hanging out. They were just innocent photos like us having dinner, at a music festival, working out together, etc. The weirdest part was I had a few tattoos on my body that I got after I broke up with Jess. I also never owned the clothes the person in the photo was wearing. Even the photos were timestamped to 4 years ago, Christmas 2019. Olivia freaked out because we started dating in summer 2019. I did make a trip alone to my hometown in Christmas 2019. However, I never met Jess. She started asking me why I did not tell her about meeting Jess. I tried to tell her that these things never happened, but she does not believe me. She also called Jess and Jess told her that we met because I was back in town. However, we were just platonic at that point and it's not what my wife is thinking. I confronted Jess and she told me that I am stupid to not tell Olivia about meeting her, and also not telling her about Olivia. She says that I told her I am still single. Olivia is very angry at me. She is not believing a word I am saying. I kept on telling her that I have not seen her for 7 years. Olivia says she does not mind me meeting her, but I should have told her as we were together. I volunteered to show her all my phone records during that time, but they only go back to 3 years on my carrier. I am confused how those photos can even exist when I never met her. They are definitely photos from when I was with Olivia, as I look more muscular in these pictures and also have tattoos that I did not have back then. I even told her she can call my friends and family and ask them about the trip, but she says that she has all the photos of my trip, and my friends and family will cover for me. Can someone please help me, what I can do in this case? I need to convince Olivia that this is all false. But she is just angry at me and giving me silent treatment. I swear that I did not meet Jess during that trip and am caught up in this mess without my fault. Update 2, June 14, 2024. I wrote a post a few days ago regarding my ex-fiancée who befriended my wife months ago, and lied to my wife about us meeting 4 years ago, when I actually went to no contact with her for more than 7 years. She even sent my wife a few pictures from the time we met. My wife was upset with me because we started dating 5 years ago, and the photos were taken 6 months after we started dating. I want to thank a lot of you for extending support and help. This has been a horrible week that just kept on getting worse. I do not blame my wife for believing Jess. Jess seemed to be a changed person from the girl I broke up with 7 years ago. I felt bad about her being in an abusive marriage for almost 3 years with a narcissistic husband. She got her life back together, was doing great with her work, and also started her own business. She had me rooting for her too, and I was proud of her journey. I could see why my wife liked her. After Jess sent photos to my wife, I tried every possible thing to prove that the pictures were fake. I showed them to 3 acquaintances who told me that they can help me. None of them were able to find any inconsistencies with the photos. I also called my parents and my friend who I met during that trip. My mom saw the photo and recognized that the gym photo was taken in the YMCA gym where my parents go. She remembered that I used their guest passes during that visit. My friend also identified the park where the music festival photo was taken. He confirmed that we had gone there during my visit for a Christmas tree lighting ceremony. Things were just getting really confusing as to how photos exist between Jess and I at these venues. Jess on the other hand was comforting my wife, telling her she did not imply anything when she sent her the photos. She said that she was married at that time, and we just ran into each other a couple of times during that visit. Jess was telling my wife to not overthink the photos, and I must have forgotten that we ran into each other. What calmed my wife down a bit was my mom talking to her and telling her that in no world would I hang out with Jess after all the stuff that happened during our breakup. Things got really messy and there was a reason why she was blocked across everything. My wife agreed with her and told me to just let it go. However, it was just a horrible feeling as I did not have any real proof that this was fake, and I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop anytime. I finally caught a huge break last night. My wife decided to not go to her painting night with Jess and friends yesterday and told me she just wants to be left alone and wants to read. I wanted to sit with her, but she told me to go and play with my friends as she wanted to be alone. During our gaming session, I told my 3 closest friends what happened, and how there are photos of me and Jess at locations that I actually visited during that trip. The session turned into them bashing Jess, old stories, and how manipulative she is. After our gaming session was over, my friend Jim called me on the phone and told me he wanted to talk about something important about Jess. He asked me if I was alone, as he did not want Olivia to listen in. I told him I needed to go to a different room. I put my phone on speaker and went in our bedroom where Olivia was sitting and prompted her to stay quiet. Jim told me that he has been in contact with Jess for 3 years. He said that she was still married but was planning to leave her husband. They knew each other because Jess was my girlfriend all through college. The initial conversations were just catching up and Jess complaining about her husband. He told me Jess inquired about me a few times as she had learned I got engaged to Olivia around that time. He said that they have been talking for a while now. Jess also told him about the coincidence that Olivia was in her painting group and how she met me a few months ago when I went to pick up Olivia. She told Jim that Olivia came to her birthday and was heavily drinking and flirting with guys. She even sent him a few pictures. There were a few with Jess and Olivia together, and then Olivia hugging and kissing a guy on his cheeks. I asked him to forward me the photos and he sent them to me on Discord. Jess told him that I am still the same insecure guy and must be tracking Olivia as I showed up at the bar at 10 p.m. like a parent to pick up Olivia. Jess did not know that Olivia had called me from the restroom to pick her up. Jess made a joke to Jim about how ironic it is that I broke up with Jess because she loved to party and now, I am married to a party girl. I asked Jim why he did not share those pictures with me before. He said that he did not want to stir the pot in my marriage without knowing all the details. I was really mad at Jim at this point and asked him what else he told Jess about me. He said, not a lot, and they barely talked about me. However, Jess was obsessed with Olivia and would badmouth her a lot. So, Jim might have told her a bit about Olivia, like what she does, where she works, etc. I asked Jim did he ever told Jess about our game nights, and he said he has and how Olivia complains about being bored. I told Jim to not tell Jess about our conversation. Jim asked me if I not tell anyone that he and Jess were in contact. He said that his wife might get the wrong idea and he just wanted to reach out because things seemed to get really weird in my life. Olivia was listening to everything and staring in disbelief at the photos that Jim shared. As soon as I hung up the phone, she started explaining to me that these were the same guys that Jess called to their table and were buying them drinks. However, she never even stood next to them, let alone hugged or kissed them. She also pointed out that her Apple Watch in the photo was on her wrong wrist. She was also spooked out that Jess had known about her for almost 3 years, and there was no way she did not recognize her when she joined the painting group. Olivia was also pissed at Jim for talking to Jess and backstabbing me for so many years. She pointed out the fact that Jim was missing for one day when he and his family visited us last year. Jim was gone for the entire day and came home late at night because he had to work from his office in our city. 15 minutes after our conversation, Jess messaged my wife and told her that they missed her at the painting night, and she would see her next week. Her level of deceit really gave us chills and Olivia was really worried. Olivia wants to go no contact with Jess, but I am worried that it may not be enough. I also still don't know how Jess knows about what I did when I visited my parents in 2019 and all the locations I went to. I also don't know who else Jess is talking to and sending Olivia's fake photos to show her in a bad light. It's really unnerving and I am just thinking about how I should confront Jess and make sure she never bothers us again. Thanks again for all the help from the community and your messages really helped me keep my sanity during this rough week. Relevant comments. Comment 1. I don't like to kick people when they are down, but my God, your wife owes you such a huge apology. Like an earthquake moving hysterical bonding apology. You better collect on that once you're safe and in the clear. OP. My wife tried to apologize many times since last night. However, I do not care about any apologies. I just want to get things back to normal and get rid of this nightmare. I can dissect who is wrong, and what happened later, but I currently feel my family is in danger and I have no idea how many other people there are out there who might have seen fake photos of my wife or me. It is also scary that Jess knew where I was 4 years ago when I went back to my hometown. She was married at that time, and still, she knew what gym I went to, and I went to the park for Christmas tree lighting with my friend. She knew the clothes I was wearing, how my body looked at that time, and got all those details right. There have to be other people who she is talking to. Comment 2. Is anyone going to tell Jim's wife? I mean, there is a reason why he doesn't want anyone to know he is in contact with Jess. Might be time to file for a protective order. OP. My wife was super pissed at Jim, and she feels he met Jess when he visited us a year ago with his wife. Right now, I do not have time to think about anything else, except Olivia and me. Regarding TRO, does anyone know if my case would qualify for TRO? I have been reading online since last night and it is only given in case there is a clear immediate danger to me or Olivia. The more I think about it, Jess's first plan was to send those pictures to Jim hoping he would leak them to me and accuse Olivia of flirting with those guys. Luckily Olivia called me from the bar before anything went down and I was able to get her. If she had not called me, I would have never known that she was with Jess and those pictures were fake. Jim decided to sit on those photos and not tell me. I think Jess's plan B was to convince Olivia I was a liar and was meeting her while dating Olivia. My mind is really racing in all directions at this point. I also understand how stupid Olivia and I were to let Jess back into our lives. For people asking about security, I do have Ring cameras installed around my house, and also own a gun. I am more worried about when Olivia goes to work, and if Jess leaks some damning photos that gets her into jeopardy with her work or family. How mad at someone do you have to be to Photoshop pictures of both him and his wife, to try and make them think the other is cheating 7 years after you broke up? Like this was 7 years ago, not a few months. I do wonder how she knew OP's location for all the pictures of him she photoshopped. Because that's really concerning if a so-called friend is sending her the pictures, and if she's getting the pictures some other way that's even more concerning. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching, I will see you in the next one.